Klisman, I want to really focus on what's happening with these European tariffs. Donald Trump threatening to impose a 200% tariff on European alcohol if the EU goes forward with its retaliatory tariff on American whiskey. What do you make of all this back and forth? Have you ever seen anything like this?
This is probably the most interesting time for trade policy that we've seen over the last 15 years, to be honest, Asieh. Donald Trump is trying to do something really, really interesting, and he's trying to balance the established place of the United States as the most powerful country in the world, according to our global power index. But what he's also trying to do, he's trying to change the reason as to why the U.S. is the most powerful country in the world, at least one aspect of it. And that's its trade deficit. What President Trump wants to do is to reverse the trade deficit that the United States has with the world. To do that, you're going to have to make the dollar weaker, but also keeping dollar primacy in the world as a status quo. He's trying to do all of these things at the same time. Naturally, these things are going to have their ramifications on the international markets with allies and with foes. And we'll see with this upcoming summit how exactly the allies of the U.S. will approach this in unison, because they're all hurting from this. And they all also, I think, want to be seen as not accepting such a tirade from the United States and standing up for themselves by implementing these counter tariffs in place. So this is something which I am looking at very, very closely, as are our clients. And I think we're going to see more volatility in the markets and also a lot of complications with allies and with foes in the forthcoming future.
What are the chances, what sense are you getting that he will actually go through with this 200% tariff on alcohol from the European Union? And if he does do it, Klisman, what will it mean for European producers? I mean, wouldn't this be financially devastating for them?
Look, I think it's really easy to see what the implications of tariffs are. That's not what I think is the most interesting question, although it's the most recent thing that we've seen come out of this tariff spat. I think the second and third order effects of what these continuous tariff plans have on the global economy as a whole, and how does trade reorient itself, and also what opportunities are there in the United States if these tariffs are to be established and are to be ongoing over the term of this presidency. These are, I think, the more interesting questions, and seeing what are the latest tariff spats between countries, because what we may see in the upcoming G7 summit is an agreement on these things, and then something else will take the place in the news cycle. So what's really important to see is what are the intentions of the United States by implementing these tariffs? Where do they want to go? Can they actually get there? And what the long-term positive and negative ramifications will be, not only for the U.S. economy, but also all the economies which rely heavily on the U.S. as its main customer.
So Trump's argument is that the EU, along with other U.S. trading partners, have basically taken advantage of the U.S., that the U.S. has been ripped off for years. Donald Trump says these tariffs will help him bring back jobs. Does he have a point?
Look, the United States has played a prime role in the world as almost the defender-in-chief of the Western bloc of countries. Now, the reason why it can do this is because it's trying to defend its position as the de facto currency. One of the reasons, at least, is as the de facto currency in the world, you need to have something that the people that your partners believe in and can rely on you for, and that is number one, defense. The world has gone through many different shapes and shifts over the last 50-odd years, with the United States actively playing a role in the architecture of the world of global commerce, global finance, and global defense. Now, what the United States is doing under Trump, he's being, I think, more pragmatic and looking at it in a much more transactional sense by saying, why are we doing this, right? Asking almost in a first principles approach, why are we doing this? What benefit does this have to us, right? And can we leverage our current status quo to our benefit? Now, trying to figure this out through the lens of business is not the best lens to use, I think, when you're looking at foreign policy and diplomacy, because there are some non-financial sort of points that you can score with this approach, but there's always.
But at what cost? But at what cost, Klisman? I mean, how much damage is he causing to the relationship between the United States and European Union?
That's really hard to answer, really, because what, again, the United States is trying to do is trying to implement what it thinks it's best for itself. How other countries react to this, in Trump's mind, isn't really his problem. you see? So he's going to do his best to focus on what his agendas are. But what he should probably do is to think, what are the ramifications of these policies? And I think what he's relying on is to see the responses from his allies and his foes to his policies. Naturally, if they are quite forceful and quite aggressive, then he may need to rethink this in a way that satisfies both his aims and also the long-term partnership that he relies on from the rest of the world, at least through his allies, you know?
All right, we'll leave it there. Klisman Murati, thank you very much.